Financial argument. Follow us on YouTube.
Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, today we saw the Fed come out. They gave their little speech about interest rates, and it really did not help the stock market whatsoever. Gold is approaching 1,300 at this point. I would suspect in the next couple of days we're going to see a suppression of gold and silver. I wouldn't be surprised if there's thousands upon thousands of contracts that are thrown at this to bring it down. But we'll have to wait and see, because we've seen this pattern before. But when we look at the economy, we see things are rapidly falling apart. We know more and more layoffs are coming. And we see that Bank of America right now, they are getting ready to let go 8,000 employees. Now, of course, they're saying their online banking, more people are switching over to this. We don't need the back office staff. This is why we're reducing it. But we're going to see many of these financial institutions start to lay off thousands upon thousands of people, because what's happening here in the economy is that most of the corporations, they're not turning a profit. They're struggling right now. They need to cut costs. And we saw this back in 2008 prior to this, where a lot of companies started to lay off people. And when the market came down, all companies just went all out and said, okay, we're getting rid of all these people. And this is why unemployment shot up. Now, according to John Williams right now, we're at 23% unemployment. Think about this for a second. If we're at 23% right now, when this crisis hits, where is unemployment going to go? 30%? No, maybe 40? 50% of the people not working? This would be a complete disaster. It would bring down the system. And this is why we can see governments preparing for what is about to happen here. Because the economy, it is not doing well. Now, the U.S. government central bankers, they're trying to continually tell everyone that everything is fine, that the economy is doing well. They're raising the minimum wage to make everyone feel good. And we know what happens when they raise the minimum wage. A lot of these establishments like McDonald's and other places, they go to automation. They say, okay, you know what? Let the customer check out themselves. We don't need these people. I'm not paying this amount. I can replace all the employees with 3 machines. And this is what we've been seeing happen. Now, the U.S. Department of Labor, acting on a directive from the president, which he issued back in March of 2014, has announced changes in the Fair Labor Standards. And this is the Fair Labor Standards Act. Beginning this fall, the act will basically double the amount of money workers must make to be exempt from federal overtime pay requirements. And what this means is that employees with gross salaries under $45,000 who work more than 40 hours a week must be paid overtime. Because Obama, he wasn't able to increase the minimum wage through Congress, so he kind of took the backdoor approach. Now, what will this do? Well, most likely we're going to see a lot of people's hours, they're going to be cut. This will probably be a job killer. And we really need to think about this for a second. Someone who's making $15 an hour for a 40-hour job week comes in at $31,200 annually. By raising the threshold, Obama has more than likely created an incentive not to hire full-time workers. Just like Obamacare, where people were out there and he said, okay, this is the number of hours. You have to provide them health insurance. And what did the employers do? They did the opposite. They cut hours. They said, okay, then we won't have anyone going over these hours. No big deal. And jobs were lost. Now, when we look at the economy right now, the economy is continually and rapidly falling apart. We're seeing that the core PPI rose by 1.2% higher than expected. And of course, this is because of energy prices going up. And we can see that we're at the final stage of this entire economic collapse because the subprime mortgage, it is back, and we are repeating 2008 all over again. Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and many others, they announced that they're going to start issuing subprime loans once again. Now, of course, what they're going to be offering is a 3% down loan. Sometimes it's even 0% down. And those people who have very low credit scores, they will be able to get these type of loans. So if you have a very low credit score, income is not that great, you can go ahead and get this type of loan. Now, we saw this back in 2008, and we know what happened. As soon as things started to fall apart, guess what? All those homes were abandoned. But something very interesting about this is that Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and all the other banks, they're going to be issuing the loans. But Fannie Mae is going to be buying these subprime loans. So the banks will make the profits on the loans. They'll service the loan, but Fannie Mae will then buy them. So the taxpayer, once again, will assume the risk. So if this is not fascism, I don't know what else is. Companies make the profits and the losses go to everyone else. And this is exactly what we're seeing right now. The last time the U.S. government did this type of thing, the debt level was $9 trillion, and it didn't end well. Everything fell apart. Today, the debt level is $19.2 trillion and continually moving up. In 2008, the Federal Reserve actually had the capacity to rapidly expand its balance sheet and slash interest rates. Well, interest rates are very close to zero right now. Do they have any room left on their balance sheet? No. Yes, can they add to it? Of course they can, but we're in a situation where there's no place to go at this point. It's a dead end. So we're seeing the final stages to all of this right now. And as we look at the economy, it is getting worse and worse. Industrial production, well, that plunged for 9 straight months in a row. This is the longest non-recession streak in 100 years. It is down by 1.4%, and it's not looking good here. We are basically past the recession point already. From all the economic indicators that we've been looking at, a lot of them are a lot worse than 2008. And remember, most of this economy that the central bankers, the Fed, they're telling us how great it is. I mean, the United States government, they're telling us how great it is. Most of it was driven into this bubble effect by them. The American people, they're sitting on the sidelines. They're watching this saying, who's buying all these houses? No one's buying or purchasing in retail. We have proof of this. Nobody has jobs. We have proof of that too. We looked at the personal federal tax receipts. They're declining. We looked at the state sales tax receipts. We see people aren't spending. And when this next crisis hits, many countries, they're just going to fold. Because when we look at this, we see that the financial system is in a gigantic bond bubble. In 2008, when the crisis hit, it was 80 trillion. It is now 100 trillion. The derivatives market that uses this bond bubble as collateral is over 555 trillion in size. Many of the large multinational corporations, sovereign governments, and some municipalities have used derivatives to fake earnings and hide debt. And we know already that 20% of corporate CFOs, they've admitted to faking earnings in the past. And you know this is much larger than what has been admitted to. Corporations today are more leveraged than they were in 2007. Stanley Druckenmiller has noted in 2007, corporate bonds were $3.5 trillion. Today, they are $7 trillion, an amount equal to nearly 50% of U.S. GDP. And then we look at the central banks. Well, they are all leveraged, either equal to or greater than Lehman Brothers when it completely imploded and collapsed. The Fed, they are leveraged 78 to 1. The ECB is leveraged 26 to 1. When Lehman crashed, they were leveraged 30 to 1. We have a problem here. And it's getting worse and worse as time goes on. Now, Goldman Sachs, they have an internal economic tracker. It's a current activity indicator, CAI, and it has slowed to 1.3%, the lowest in 7 years. In other words, the June CAI just dropped once more to 1.3%, the lowest economic expansion since 2009. And it's a downward trend here. The Fed came out and they were talking about the economy. They were saying that the labor market is going to be strengthening. Don't worry about it. But we're not going to raise interest rates right now. They're looking to raise interest rates maybe later on in this year. Well, the economy is not doing well. If it was truly doing well and everything was getting stronger, they would have done it already. But they know the truth. They know what the economy is doing. They know it's collapsing. Actually, they're preparing the collapse. And this is why we all need to be ready for what is coming. We all need to be prepared with food, with water, with toiletries, with medical supplies, with gold, silver, cash, weapons on hand. Because when we look at Venezuela, and we look at Brazil, we look at Argentina, we look at Greece, we see the situation there. And when things start to rapidly deteriorate, all hell is going to break loose. And this is why whatever you're doing, going to Costco, going to a supermarket, you're using lifereliance.com to get your emergency food, your seeds, your bug out bags, whatever you're doing, continue to do this. Do not stop. Because from everything that we've been looking at, we're looking at financial indicators, we're looking at geopolitical indicators, we see that everything is pointing to one thing and one thing only. Now, do we have an exact date of this? No, we don't. But we know it's getting closer and closer. We can see it. People are now feeling it. Many more people are looking at the unemployment rate saying, we know this is a complete lie. This is not even truth anymore. And those people are out there working every day, and they're starting to realize something is wrong in this economy. And as we move towards this summer, things are going to accelerate. We're going to see more things decline, deteriorate. We're going to see events across the globe. It's just going to get worse and worse as time goes on. And before you know it, there will be some type of black swan, or maybe they'll be ready to bring down this entire economy. We'll have to see how this plays out. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.